also have a new twist in Florida's controversial voter purge program. The state and the federal government now plan to sue each other. The Department of Justice believes that Florida is violating voters' rights. In a letter detailing the suit, it writes, it appears that the state of Florida is unwilling to conform its behavior to the requirements of federal law. And the department has therefore authorized the initiation of an enforcement action against Florida in federal court. Meantime, Governor Rick Scott announced Florida will sue the Department of Homeland Security to gain access to a federal citizenship database. This all happening as county election supervisors have already stopped the purge because they say they don't trust the accuracy of a list of nearly 2,700 potential non-citizens identified by the state. Joining me now, Florida's Governor Rick Scott. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kristen. It looks like you guys are having a good time up there.
I know we are. Well, for a Tuesday, you got to try to get the party started for the rest of a long week. Look, I want to talk to you a little bit about the timeline here for what's going on. The DHS first denied Florida access to this SAVE database, as it's called, in October of last year. A lot of back and forth. Now you have the DOJ announcing a lawsuit against your state. You got a chance to read that letter, I'm assuming. What is your response to the DOJ suing you?
Sure. You know, Christine, look, the debate's over. We know we have almost 100 individuals that are registered to vote that are non-U.S. citizens. Over 50 of them have voted in our elections. I have an obligation to enforce the laws of our land. You don't get to vote in Florida if you're a non-U.S. citizen. The Homeland Security has been stonewalling to give us a database we're entitled to. We've been asking for months. It'll make sure we do it the right way. And so we're put in a position where we had no choice but to sue Homeland Security to get that database to make sure that your right as a citizen is not diluted by somebody that's a non-U.S. citizen illegally voting in our state.
And so you've got 50 cases of that, you say you found. But on the other side of that, you have to be, the federal government says you cannot by any way infringe on a citizen's right to vote by purging these non-citizens. Do you know what I mean? So you're going after these 48 now cases, but are you really being sure that this data, because look, the SAVE database, that DHS database of non-citizens, government says they're happy to give your state access, but they say you're not providing the necessary immigration-related information required to use it properly for verification purposes.
But, Christine, here's what we know. We know that individuals are voting in our state illegally. They're non-U.S. citizens. We know the best database is the SAVE database. We've asked for it for months from Homeland Security. We want to work with Homeland Security to get it. So we've done all the right things. So we are put in a position, we don't have a choice but to sue them to get the database that we're entitled to make sure that U.S. citizens' votes are not diluted.
Are you purging your voter rolls right now?
No.
So
now, if you look, here's the way the process, Christine, here's the way the process works. If there's credible evidence that somebody is registered to vote that's not, they get sent a letter. They've got 30 days to respond. If they don't respond, then there's a notice filed in the paper. If they don't respond, then they're taken off the rolls. But if they show up to vote, they get to vote provisionally, and then we make sure, because we don't want anybody that has we want all U.S. citizens to vote, we don't want non-U.S. citizens to vote.
In Pinellas, I think in Miami-Dade, you've got some, election folks in those counties who've been concerned that it's just been kind of a mess. The record keeping has been such a mess that they're worried about. You've heard these reports of, go ahead.
That's why we need this, the Homeland Security database. Look, you think about it. No one, I don't know anybody that wants to say we want non-U.S. citizens to vote in our races. We want to do it the right way. That's what we tried to do. Our Secretary of State's office has been working with Homeland Security for months, asking for this database so we can do it right. When they were, for whatever reason, didn't give it to us, we tried to use our own database, right, to do it. And we know that even with that database, we found 100 people that are not entitled to vote. They're non-U.S. citizens, are registered, and we know 50 of them have voted. But the right thing to do is what we're trying to do, get the Homeland Security database, do it the right way, They shouldn't be stalling and not giving it to us.
So according to the government, you're supplying names and date of birth, and they say that if you, I'm going to read you a letter from the Department of Justice. To our understanding, the Florida Department of State admitted to DHS nearly 8 months ago that the Division of Elections does not collect any of the immigration-related numeric identifiers or documentation that DHS has advised would be necessary to participate in the SAVE program. That's the list that we're all arguing about from the government. Although much more recently, your office has suggested that in some cases this information may be available from records originally collected by the state DMV at the time of driver's license applications. So I guess can you come up with this other data that the Department of Justice says you need, and then we can just resolve this?
Absolutely. I mean, we've tried to work with Homeland Security. We've told them how we're going to use the data our Secretary of State's office has. We've done everything the right way. For whatever reason, they've decided not to give it to us. We don't understand why. I mean, I can't imagine anybody in America wants a non-U.S. citizen to dilute a U.S. citizen's right to vote. We've done all the right things. So we were put in a position we don't have a choice but to sue them.
But you get the overriding drive here is the National Voter Registration Act, which is also to make sure that eligible voters have their right to vote. I mean, you're trying to balance these two things here.
Christine, this is not a partisan issue. This is not a Republican or Democrat independent issue. This is an issue that I want, all of us want, everyone that has, every U.S. citizen, go register to vote. Vote, participate in these elections. But non-U.S. citizens shouldn't be doing that. We want people to vote in our elections. I want everybody to vote. I want everybody to get involved in races. I tell them all the time to do that. But not non-U.S. citizens. That's illegal.
Critics say this is discriminatory and one big political move to eliminate potential Democratic voters.
Oh, absolutely not. This is nonpartisan. I mean, I want people. I give talks all the time. I tell people all the time, go register to vote. You have to be a U.S. citizen, but go register to vote. Participate in races, vet candidates, participate in this process. That's America. But I don't have a right. You don't have a right to vote in a Spanish election or Italian election. I mean, this is America. You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote here. That's what we want.
A Florida judge recently, a federal judge rather in Florida, struck down parts of a law that you'd signed because of restrictions it placed on groups that were working to register voters, groups that were getting out there trying to, you say, encouraging people to register to vote and to get voted. But a federal judge struck that down. How do you respond to claims that this is a big political move that is going to eliminate Democratic voters?
No, I mean, look, I don't know anybody in our state that says, hey, don't go register to vote. If you have a right to vote, register to vote. I tell people, go participate in races, vet these candidates, go out and vote. Get everybody you know to go out and vote. Email people what you think about candidates. We want people to participate in our races. I mean, that's what America's about. This is the first time I've ever run for office. I want everybody to vote. It's the right thing to do in our country.
Certainly 537 votes in 2000. I mean, every vote in Florida certainly counts. That's why so many people are watching what's happening on your voter rolls. Governor Rick Scott, Florida, thank you so much. And, let me
have a great day, Christine.
Thank you. Let me get you guys in. Roland's coming out of his ears.
That was pure foolishness. He signed one of the most restrictive voter suppression laws in the country. How do you outlaw early voting on Sunday before an election? How do you sit here and prevent folks like the League of Women Voters and Rock the Vote from registering people because they said the laws were so restrictive? He is not about trying to expand the voting rolls. They would not have passed those ridiculous laws if they were serious about people actually voting.
Roland, the problem is that your rebuttal of this suggests that these guys are malevolent, evil people trying to suppress minority voters.
No, I said suppress voters. Answer this. Why not allow early voting on a Sunday before a Tuesday election? Is that bad?
Answer this. Do you believe that non-citizens
non-citizens should not vote? Easy, but answer my question. Should we allow voting on the Sunday before Tuesday election? Yes or no?
You're allowed in the state of Florida. No, I am going to answer the question, Roland, but here's the deal. As the governor of Florida, you have the right, if it's before 90 days before an election, to set the rules for how the election's going to go. And if all the citizens of Florida know how it's going to go, then that's fair.
Right, and they also changed the laws. They also, felons were allowed to vote. Jeb Bush allowed them. Rick Scott took their votes away.
After 3 days of talking about Florida voter purges, we should just narrow the debate to what it is, and that is this. Is there a legitimate goal in kicking non-citizens off the voter rolls? 2, are the tools that are being used to do that an act of voter suppression or the legitimate implementation of that goal? That's the debate right there. Understand what we're debating, and then you can find out what side you fall on.
All right, guys. Thanks.